What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I go by NielVoices, and today we will be discussing how to rank up in Overwatch. Now, before I made this video, I was only around Diamond and I did not for the longest time climb at all. And I'm going to share a few tips with you today that helped me get to Master within 3 days. So tip number 1, the first thing I did was look at everything from a positive standpoint. So even if someone went Sombra and you don't like Sombra at all in your team, I would still encourage that player to play well. Sombra can be really good for your team. No character is bad in Overwatch, in my opinion. If you know how to play your character perfectly, I'll trust that you can play your character, alright? And that's one of the things that you need to implement in your mind. Like, even if they aren't meta, the picks in your team, they can still be very good. And even an attack Torbjorn can be good in some situations. Just think about how people don't know how to counter an attack Torbjorn. That could be really helpful. Maybe he sets up his turret on point when you attack and it wins you the round. You never know what can actually come your way. Now, along with a positive attitude, I've learned to go into a game and just be willing to fill. So basically, let people play whatever they want to play first. Because what usually ends up happening is I'll go DPS and 3 others will also go DPS. Then we have 4 DPS and an unstable team. Ultimately, we will lose that match. Maybe you're a really good one-trick pony, but in most situations, picking for your team's benefit will actually benefit the team more than one-tricking your 300-hour Widow or Genji or whatever. Another thing I've noticed is if you go tank like Winston or D.Va, they're very, very powerful in this season. If you know what to do, you can single-handedly carry that team to victory, because a lot of people don't know how to play tank properly, and if you adapt and play Winston to his fullest potential, you can carry a game really easily. Now, some argue that they'd rather have fun and play the character that they want to play than win sometimes. And that is completely fine if that's how you want to go about it. But this video is about how to rank up as quickly as possible. So now let's go over to the second tip that I have for you guys. And that is, every player that you go against, try to view them as an equal to you. You're at your rank. If you're stuck at your rank, you're there for a reason, right? So don't underestimate your opponents. You could be a really good player, but if you go in for those crucial, risky plays just because you want to make play of the game, for instance, you're gonna have a bad time. It's better to conserve your ultimates. Talk to your team. Plan ahead on how you want to keep point A, for instance. If you have 4 ultimates, only use 2 or 3 of them. People don't realize how much ultimates mean in this game. This game is based around ultimates. The team with the best use of their ultimates win. So don't be the guy to run in just for the sake of getting play of the game, solo 1v6 and ult them, because that's just a huge waste. You want to wait for the right moment, and sometimes even if you have ult for a minute, holding on to that ultimate could win you the game. And I'm not trying to say that risky plays are bad, because there are good players that use them correctly. I'm just saying, wait for the right moment, then do it, instead of trying to single-handedly carry your team, because this is a team-based game after all. You're not meant to do everything alone. Just communicate with your team and use your ultimates wisely. That's my second tip for you guys. The third tip I have is, as you can see in the background, I'm playing against bots. So what I've done for the past few days is, even if I fill as a tank, I'll go into training mode or the arcade, create a new game, set up 2 medium Annas, 2 medium Lucios and 2 easy McCrees, and play against them with 1000 health. So what this allows me to do is practice headshotting bots. Also practice how I use my ultimates against these bots. Because many times when you wake up or come home from work, you're not really in the game. You need to warm up, you know, get used to the whole environment in which you take place in, and just practice your ults, practice hitting headshots, practice dashing through enemies, practice anything you want. Just make sure that you take some time out of your day before you play ranked to practice. What I want you to do is also go for those risky plays against the bots instead, and I want you to see how it turns out. I want you to feel if what you just did was a good thing and could possibly work when you practice it in a ranked game. Another thing you can also do is just set the bots to Ana and have them only be able to shoot headshots at you, because then you won't be able to take any damage, and also set the bots to only be able to receive headshots. That way you can practice only headshotting, which is also something that you should think about when you do practice against these bots, is just try to always go for the head. Practice those crucial shots that could potentially win you a game. And so moving on to the fourth tip that I have for you guys is try to look at everything like it was your fault. Don't blame the team. If your entire team got wiped out, then that's also your fault. Because just look at how you died. You did the exact same thing if your entire team got wiped out. I picked this tip up from a coach that hosted on a YouTube channel, I can't remember the name, but he said that obviously everything's not your fault, but if you view things in such a way that it could have been your fault, then you tend to not do the same thing again, or just try to go about the same thing from a different angle. So as they say, you learn from your mistakes, right? So if you had blinked to the left instead of blinking forwards with Tracer, you could have maybe flanked the team in a different way and potentially gotten a pick. Or if you miss your ultimate at one stage of the game, then you lose the game because of another stage in the game. Then you wouldn't necessarily have been at that stage of the game where you lost if you hadn't missed your ultimate 3 minutes earlier. So what I'm trying to say here is that even if your team messed up one graviton, maybe 3 minutes before that, if you hadn't messed up your ultimate, you would have been in a different position, because maybe that ultimate led to you losing that round. Ultimately meaning that you would have had 1 point more had you not missed your ult. So just kind of trace everything back to you as, what could I have done better? What mistakes have I done? And not try to focus on your team doing a bad job, because you can always work around a bad team. Sometimes you get levers and throwers, I get that, we all do. It is apparently proven that statistically everyone runs into the same amount of levers and throwers as anyone else, which means that the tip that Seagull left also is very accurate. And what he said is,
Upstate Mind on $2 says, I'm stuck in high gold, low plat my main. I made a new account which plays 2600. I think I'm worthy of being higher, but no one listens to my positive reinforcement and constructive criticism. What do I do? The answer to every single donation like this is always the same. 2 words: get good. Let's be real, your team is not the problem for you being low rank, barring very weird ass situations. If you're unlucky and you're actually good, you will climb. This is how it works. I'm sorry to be a dick, but it's actually true.
so yeah, stop blaming your team, because you may be more of a problem than you realize, or you may not. Either way, your win rate isn't taking you up. That is why you're here in the first place, correct? Now another thing, I think it was Taimu who said this, don't quote me on this, but some pro player, he said that if you get to master or grandmaster with mercy, you don't deserve your rank. Now I don't personally believe that you don't deserve your rank if you don't play a character that has no aim or skill at all, because positioning is very important in Overwatch, which is why I wanted to touch on this, because if you know how to position yourself at the best range for your character, then you're going to utilize its fullest potential. So this isn't about mercy, but more about positioning. So if you know your most effective range of a, for example, McCree, he keeps medium range and he usually takes care of tracers from behind, like flankers from behind and stuff. So in order for you to climb, you need to know how to utilize your character's range at the fullest potential. Also, you need to know your opponent's most effective range. And what I mean by this is if you can keep distance from a target that needs to be up close, you can kite and potentially win a 1v1 against that player. Say if a tracer is after you and you keep your distance, tracer is not going to do a lot of damage from afar. That way you could potentially kill her as a soldier, for instance. Just pop a rocket in the ground in front of her and shoot her once and she'll be dead. So knowing yours and your opponent's most effective range will really help you understand how to improve and play at a better and higher rate. Ultimately meaning you will climb higher and faster. If you look at how the Koreans play, they blame themselves for everything. They're not brought up the same way that Americans and Europeans are, where if you're really good, you start to brag about yourself and so on. Even if they perform well, they don't really feel like they can celebrate. It's like they don't never feel like they can deserve to. Because just look at Faker from League of Legends. He's like heartless. And he never really celebrates what we can see, at least. And I think that mindset is what you want to also achieve. So even if you do, because just look at how differently you play when you feel like you are the best in the world versus where you always know that you can improve. And that's also how they become better at the game, because they never view themselves as this best player. They always look at themselves like they can improve. And I don't know about you guys, but I've been in games where I've carried super hard in the first round and the team just gives me so much attention. They tell me I'm doing great and everything, but then all of a sudden they change up their team comp in the enemy team. All of a sudden they've completely countered me and I'm still going in like I'm number one. And you can imagine how that would turn out. I wouldn't survive. So try to always stay focused and on how you can improve yourself, rather than thinking you're King Kong on the top of a mountain, right? Because in the end, ultimately, all that's gonna mean is that you're not creating this window of opportunity to improve, because you're only viewing yourself as this really amazing player that can't do badly. And I'm only saying this because I'm talking out of experience here. So we all know that you're the best player in the world. No one is better than you. That's the mindset we've basically picked up within gaming here in Sweden, or I guess it depends on your upbringing as well, but I think that is also why women tend to play and improve a lot more than guys do, because guys, they feel like they are the best even if they aren't. They'll even go out of their way to prove that they are, which is also a really, really bad trait if you want to rank up. Versus where women will kind of think of themselves at an early stage that they aren't really good enough. That's at least how I feel like women usually interpret themselves when they play. Which also means that there's so much window of opportunity to improve, because they know that they can do stuff better. They see what they can do and what they can't do, and they try to improve on that specific obstacle. So I feel like I've touched on basically everything I wanted to say today. Obviously this guide isn't going to be for everyone, but if you did like it, please just help me out by sharing the video. It helps me out a lot, you don't even realize. Also, have a great day and good luck with your rank games. I believe in you, okay? Just whenever you feel like you're struggling, go back to this video, go over the tips again, even write them down if you want to, and just try to stay focused, try to stay positive, because I know if you want to improve, you will improve. I believe in you, alright? So that has been everything for today, guys. This has been NielVoices. Thank you again for watching, and I'll talk to you very soon. Peace.